Okay, in this video we are going to begin looking at two-dimensional geometry. When we talked about angles and lines and rays, all of that was in basically more of a one-dimensional kind of form. Now we're going to go into two-dimensional geometry, and when we move into two-dimensional geometry, the most common shapes that you deal with every day are things like triangles, rectangles, circles. There's a whole bunch more of them, and we will actually talk about these and cover them. But we're going to start first with our simplest form, which is a triangle. A triangle is a two-dimensional shape. It is made up of 2D for two-dimensional shape. What does a triangle have? Made with 3 points that are not in a straight line. It has 3 angles, and it has 3 sides. So if you look at this, 3 points that are not in a straight line. Connecting those 3 points gives you your 3 sides that we usually label with a small letter such as ABC, and 3 angles which we label with capital letters of the angle opposite the side. So here's side A, so angle A is there. Side B, angle B is here. Side C is here, so angle C is there. So you can tell how we label those. We have a lot of different names for triangles. So the first thing we're going to do is label triangles by a certain type. For example, you have a right triangle, and a right triangle has a 90-degree angle. When we want to designate a 90-degree angle, we draw a little box in the corner. So this one is named a right triangle. So you see it is named for the one angle that has a designation. A right triangle, and it has a 90-degree angle. Another triangle has an angle which is larger than 90 degrees, which is this one right here. It's greater than 90 degrees. And this kind of an angle is an obtuse angle. So therefore, this is an obtuse triangle because it has one angle greater than 90 degrees and less than 180 degrees. Okay? And the last one is an acute triangle. An acute triangle has all 3 angles are less than 90 degrees. As you see, we have a lot of vocabulary in geometry, okay? All 3 angles are less than 90 degrees. Okay, that's one way to name triangles, is by that, okay? Another question to ask ourselves, could we have a triangle if we had 2 right angles in that triangle? Well, here's one right angle. If we make a second right angle, is there any way that that's going to join up with that? No. 2 right angles are not going to lead you to a triangle. So that would be impossible. How about 2 obtuse angles? Well, there's one obtuse angle. If I make another obtuse angle, is this going to let me get to a triangle? No, all it does is make the legs get further apart so that there's no way these can be joined together. So these kind of triangles are not possible. And that's why when we label these, a right triangle is only one possibility here. One angle is a right angle. Obtuse, there's only one angle that can be obtuse. And acute, all three of them have to be less than 90 degrees, or the sum of them will not be 180. Remember, a triangle, the sum of the angles have to be 180 degrees. So this is one way to label triangles. Now let's look at other ways to label triangles. Okay, so we're going to look at labeling triangles by their sides. Okay. The first one is an equilateral triangle, and I'm not a good artist, but in an equilateral triangle, all the sides are the same measure. And when you put the little marks like this on them, that indicates that they are the same measure. And so the name of this triangle is an equilateral triangle. And the reason it is equilateral, indicating that the sides are all the same. All three sides are, and we're going to introduce a new word here, congruent. Congruent means equal measure. If it's a side, it's going to be according to length measurement. If it's an angle, it would be according to degree measurement. Okay? Another triangle is an isosceles triangle. Let's make it a little bit longer so it's obvious. Okay, that's better. There we are. In an isosceles triangle, two sides are the same. Two sides are congruent. Okay? The last triangle of this type is going to be a triangle where no sides are the same measurement, and this is called a scaling triangle. And the scaling triangle is no sides are congruent. So when we label triangles by side, we have equilateral, isosceles, and scaling. Now we can combine these as well. You can have something like a right triangle. We have a right triangle with two congruent sides. So we've got right and we've got isosceles. So in this one, we would call this an isosceles right triangle, because we're using both the name of your isosceles along with your right angle, or a right isosceles triangle. I'm not sure which way that goes. Might be right isosceles triangle. I would accept either one because you're using both names in it. I've written one way in my notes and I wrote it the other way up there. Okay, Another name for an equilateral triangle is equiangular, because all three angles are also the same in an equilateral triangle. And that's an important thing to know. So another name for this one is equiangular. Okay, equilateral and equiangular are the same thing. Okay, so that talks about the naming of triangles, and it's all about vocabulary, guys. So you might want to put this on note cards so that you will be able to learn these names and how to spell them, because I can guarantee you somewhere along the way you're going to have to know how to name triangles. It's an important part of triangle geometry. Now, let's look at another concept here. Let's see, I think we'll start another video for the next concept, so it won't be too long.